Saturday afternoon here in Darwin as we prepare for this afternoon's V8 Supercar race on 7, race 12 of the championship, where Will Davison will start from pole position at this terrific circuit. How good is this look? The Touring Car Masters are about to grid up and get firing for a 12-lap race. The good old times are coming back. Good old boys in the commentary box for this one. Mark Larkins alongside Aaron Noonan. Good luck, Noons.
Oh, I think I might need it after that intro, Larko.
Good old boys. What do I read into that?
Let's have a look at the grid, mate. Jim Richards on pole in this new AMC Javelin. Tony Edwards alongside. John Bowes on row 2, but he was fastest in qualifying, but he's got a 2-position penalty from the last round that this series had at Phillip Island, so he drops back to the second row of the grid. So we've got a great mix. AMC Javelin, Tirana SLR 5000, Mustangs, Camaros, V8 Falcons, old school. It's cool.
It is cool, mate, and it's a harder challenge for these guys up here. I was having a little bit of a look at the cars in the dummy grid there, and they just don't have the sophisticated devices that we see in a modern V8 supercar to battle with the heat up here.
And that's where they really struggle, but they are a bit more sophisticated than they were in the 70s and 60s, that's for sure. These cars have been developed like you would not believe. In fact, John Bowes set the fastest time in qualifying. He did a 1:14, which is not too far away from the V8 supercars. Here's the championship points. Brett Youlden in the green Monaro, who starts a bit further back in the pack, 1 point clear of Jimmy Richards. John Bowes is the reigning champ in this category in his Trans Am Mustang. He starts on the second row of the grid. There he is, just pulling in behind Jimmy Richards in that Shannon's Insurance AMC Javelin. Andrew Mediki's on row 2 in the Chevy Camaro, the Bob Middleton-owned car that he's done some great things with. In fact, he won up here last year. We've had 4 different round winners in 4 years of TCM in the top end. 24 cars entered for this weekend. Good turnout up north.
I'll be really surprised here, Noons, to see if everyone gets off the start line without a stall. I mean, remember, these are big, heavy cars. We've got more heat in the tyres than we typically see. Very difficult to get these things off the line.
Wait for the green flag at the back. The heavy muscle, the American muscle, the Aussie muscle. It's at the front. There's some fantastically fast Porsche 911s in the field. Michael Armand is the best of them on debut. So it's Jimmy Richards v Tony Edwards. American might versus Aussie muscle. Race 1, round 3. The Touring Car Masters in the top end, and it's Andrew Mediki very slow to get away. They swamp him on the run to turn 1, but it's Jim Richards, clear leader. John Bowes through to second, and Tony Edwards from the front row. He's back to 4th.
I'm just laughing. Did you feel the commentary box shake when they went past?
Oh, look out! Bill Pye down the inside. Rams into the side of Brett Youlden in the championship leading Monaro. We're on board. Chris Stillwell in that 66 Mustang fastback that is having just its second run, but that was a bit wild for turn 1.
Yeah, we've talked about that turn 1 a bit, Noons. More than just about anywhere in the country, it is very tempting to try and pick up easy positions there. Very wide. You can get 4 or 5 wide into there, and as a result, we see trauma all too often there.
And if you're wondering what on earth is a Javelin, this has been Jimmy's baby for the last couple of years. It's all about American muscle. This thing was Trans Am royalty in the 70s in the States. George Nittis is parked down at turn 1 in the big Falcon V8 and not going anywhere either. So at the front, it's Richards Bauer. Brad Tilley third in that big green Falcon that hasn't run so far this year. It's the first time that we've seen him in the TCM. It's round 3 of the championship this weekend. Edwards next, and then that XB Coupe. That's Keith Kasuki. That's the car Glenn Seaton drove in the second half of last season. He's purchased that car and is running from it.
Yeah, it becomes an ever-attractive category, doesn't it, mate, for guys like Cito, and we've got Maduchin. Guys that have been doing this for a long time. It's a great place to land. I mean, a young bloke like me, we're probably 20 or 30 years away from ever landing in here. But look, all seriously, looking at this Javelin here of Jimmy Richards, look, the thing you've got to understand here is, apart from doing a great job of building these cars, the preparation is A1. It is very much about reliability. We've seen a car fail already. Anything Jimmy gets his hands on, not only is it fast, it is beautifully prepared, and it is reliable.
Having a look at Keith Kasuki there in that XB Coupe. Replay the start. Let's have a look. Where's this drama going? Someone indeed. That's Bill Pye ramming Andrew Mediki, who in turn fires in the side of Brett Youlden. Chris Stillwell out the outside in that Trans Am Mustang, and it's Steve Mason, I should say, that's got the fastback here this weekend, not Chris, who's on board his regular car that runs in the Pro Sportsman category, and it starts to get a bit expensive. He just had nowhere to go and ended up losing all these spots.
Mate, I just hate seeing these 30, 40-year-old panels getting beaten up.
Bill Pye's got the Camaro at least back to pit lane, and they're trying to get that guard off the left front tyre. Under safety car at Hidden Valley. Jim Richards is the leader, John Bowes second. More of the Masters in just a sec. Masters. Green flag flies. And it's Jim Richards who leads the way. John Bowe in second. Brad Tilley in the big green Falcon in third spot. Keith Kasuki next. Then Tony Edwards in the Tirana. Andrew Medicki sixth. And Mark Larkham, I seem to remember him finishing on the podium at the Bathurst 1000 once upon a time. Who was he with?
Andrew Medicki, the old Meduchin bee, we used to call him. Yeah, drove with him in 97 at Bathurst. We finished third. And one of those guys, you know, I mean, I've always been a fan of Andrew Medicki. Had a career in open wheelers, very, very talented driver. And, you know, probably didn't achieve all the things he maybe needed to have. I would have loved to have seen him driven for a team in his early years rather than prepare his own cars, which is often a big battle in itself. But great to see him back behind the wheel.
We're on board with Tony Edwards in the SLR 5000 Tirana, and TCM in the last couple of years have just extended the window of the year of eligibility to let some of the Aussie muscle cars in, like this one and the XB Coupe Falcon that runs up just in front, because it was dominated by the American, the Mustangs and the Camaros and the like.
Yeah, and let's be honest, mate, Aussies build the best muscle cars in the world, mate. I have every edition of Australian muscle car in my bookcase. Wouldn't miss it for quids.
And this long straight, nearly 1 kilometre long. They've broken the lap record already, these two out front. Richards and Bowe, JB down the inside. How about the flames on the Mustang?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, this is tough. What you don't realise here, I mean, we've talked about the heat, the surface temperature of the road, very, very high. These cars are heavier than a V8 supercar. And in a V8 supercar, one of the things you do is focus very much on getting the centre of gravity down. Great race, look at that. Getting the centre of gravity in these big steel heavy cars, they can't do that. And on tyres that aren't necessarily as good as our current Dunlop control tyre, it's a real battle to manhandle these things around here. So don't for a minute underscore what's going on here in this category. It is tough yards.
And this was the move that Bowe put on Richo down into turn one. They ended up going side by side, but JB managed to get on through and take the lead. These two are both under the lap record, which was held by Andrew Medicki last year in the Camaro. Back on board with Chris Stillwell in the 68 Trans Am Mustang. He's second in Class B. There's two championships within the championship. Class A's for the bigger cars, the 5.1 litre to 6 litre. Class B for up to 5 litres. So there's still a couple of different awards on the line. But have a look at the mix. Charger, Monaro, Mustang, Porsche. Fantastic.
Right, and to see that in-car shot, the old H-Pat gears, we're only talking about it driving to the circuit this morning. What a fantastic thing it is to see guys changing gears, down changing. Look at this. These guys won't look. They'll do this all day. They will not rub a panel.
Jim Richards,
no doubt about it.
Has gone back to the lead. He won the round here in 2010 in his Falcon Sprint. JB won here back in 08 in a Camaro. He hasn't won in this Mustang that Dick Savvy prepares for him down in Melbourne. But these two classes of the field, they've cleared away, Larko. 3 seconds.
Oh, well, is it any surprise, mate, that these guys achieved what they did in their careers? No, seriously, smart, intelligent, brave, tough. You know, these guys have it all. Both of those guys in particular have a very intimate mechanical understanding of their race cars, which has allowed them to sort them out. There's no doubt about it. Real talents, and it's interesting that they're around this way because Johnny Bowe developed a real reputation in his career. When he's in front, he can make his car wider, better than anybody in the game.
No idea what you're talking about, Larko. Never seen it before. Not sure what you're on about. These two dominant. Richards and Bowe 1 and 2. Brad Tilley's third from Keith Kasuki, then Tony Edwards. Medicki next. Tony Karanfilovsky in the Falcon is 7th. Gary Trelaw's got the Charger up to 8th. Graham Alexander 9th, and Brett Youlden, championship leader, is 10th. But for how much longer is he the title leader? Not too long, I wouldn't guess. Bowe and Richards are going to go backwards and forwards. And the issue with these cars is you've got to look after the stoppers, got to look after the brakes. They've got a lot more modern components in them than back in the 70s when these things were really rocking and rolling. But it's John Bowe who leads the way at the moment. He and Jim Richards are the class of the field.
Interesting yourself.
Bowe leads. We'll take a break from Hidden Valley. More in a sec. It's nose to tail, plenty of variety. Touring Car Masters, race 1, round 3 at Hidden Valley Raceway. We've got one heck of a fight. This is 7th place Tony Karanfilovsky in the white Falcon, all the way back to the Porsches that run in the middle of the race. You've got such a mixture here. But on the straight, Larko, you've got to be in a V8.
Oh, well, not only that. Look at, seriously, mate, look at that red Fastback Mustang. I mean, is there a better-looking car ever built than that? It is beautiful, isn't it? But now, look, these might be older vehicles, but you're talking probably 260 kilometres an hour down the straight. And you made reference to the brakes before the break. I had a bit of a look at them earlier. They're around 305, 310 millimetres diameter, so they're actually not a big disc brake they have on these cars. So to pull these things up, big job.
And that Fastback Mustang you talk of, that's Steve Mason, former series champ. They found that the shocks are too short, but they can't do anything about it here this weekend. They're going to have to wait until they get back to the workshop. We're on board with Tony Edwards. We sit 5th in the SLR 5000. Let's just listen to the sights and sounds of this 308 Holden as he chases Keith Kasuki. There's a spot. Kasuki down the inside. That was a ripper lap.
Mate, how good did that 308 sound? Now, I can tell, I courted my wife in my 308 Monaro. I'm now not convinced that I was the attraction. True story.
I've got nothing. I've got nothing at all. Tell you what, we've got a good fight for third, though. Brad Tilley's lost third spot here. Back in with Tony Edwards. Bow and Richards are gone. 10 seconds in front of these guys. Bow leads the way. Richards is on his hammer. Now, Brad Tilley normally would not be getting out of the way like that. He must have a drama because that Falcon's one of the strongest cars in a straight line.
Mate, for an old clunker Holden to be going past an XY Falcon like that, he's got to have a drama.
So you pump up Holdens 1 second, then you bring them smashing down in the next lap. And this is a big problem for Brad Tilley because that car's got a lot more go than it's showing at the moment. Wayne Mercer here with Bob Middleton in the Camaro. No, not right there. I think he dinged just a headlight and a tail light. Look out for the Porsche on the way through. That was tight. This is as well the two Aussie muscle cars. This is the car I mentioned earlier, the Glen Season race late last season. Keith's purchased it. He lives in Papua New Guinea, flies in and out for each round of the championship, stepping in from the HQ Monaro. And here is Andrew Medicki. He's closing on in, and this car won the round last year. They actually changed the engine on board that Camaro last night. Broke a rocker, so they had to put in a late night to get him back on the road. Came into this weekend 5th in the championship. Brad Tilley in the background still going around in that Falcon, so he's going to limp it home, whatever the problem is. Bow that time around, stretch the margin, 3.7 seconds. Back to Jimmy Richards.
Quite an interesting dynamic. I was just watching the body language of the Medicki Camaro there. Look how wide that car is. So when you're looking for a gap, you're not really looking for a conventional one. You genuinely need a big opening to shove it in there. Look at the width of that car.
In comparison, particularly to the Tirana in front. Of course, the SLR 5000 was the car that replaced the XU1. It came before the L34 option. And tell you what, Tony Edwards knows how to drive it. They've had heaps of problems with this thing over the last 12 months with just having too much power to be able to use it all, but it's now starting to look like not just a competitive package, but a reliable one too. Yeah, well, it's a compounding problem with these sorts of cars, isn't it? Because whilst they look very period externally, there is quite a few modern bits. So as engine performance goes up, that compromises the drive line. The
driveline then needs to be toughened up. That compromises the weight of the car. The weight of the car then compromises the braking of the car. So it's a sort of it's a chain that it always finds in motorsport its weakest link.
I'll tell you what, this guy, he hasn't got a weakest link at the moment. John Bower will charge it on home to win his 4th race of 2012, his 39th career TCM race, and he cruises it. Mustang Sally doing it in style. Here's Jimmy Richards home in 2nd from pole position in the Javelin. That first win for that car doesn't look to be too far away, and this was a good fight. Keith Kasuki will get home for 3rd. Edwards next, Mediki 5th. Brad Tilley limping but making it. There he is in 6th. But John Bower, that will help in the championship. So TCM's done. V8 Utes not too far away. Here is the results. Trelaw 7th in the Charger. That's a good job. Steve Mason, Greg Keane in the Porsche in the top 10. And Brett Hewlin rounds out the 10 in that green HQ Monaro. That was a good fight back from where he was. Now, 15 years of V8 Supercars.